So next, I'd like to call up Elaine Toth to the front. Elaine is a PhD student of cultural, social, and political thought at the University of Lethbridge. She is also a research member of the Nikkei Memory Capture Project, led by her supervisors, Dr. Carly Adams of the U of L and Dr. Darren Aoki of Plymouth University in the UK. Elaine has also been involved with the university's Center for Oral History and Tradition since 2011 and recognizes the center as having a major influence in her passion for oral history and storytelling. Her current research explores the experiences of interracial couples in southern Alberta, one of whose members identifies as being of Japanese descent. And Elaine has a short presentation and a very moving video that she will be sharing with us. So, Elaine.
Good evening, everyone. It is a real honor for me to be here tonight. Thank you, Gideon, for your introduction and for your most enlightening and informative talk. It's truly wonderful to be able to hear about this research and what you talked about tonight in person in this beautiful Bunka Center. So I'm going to talk for about 5 minutes about the Nikkei Memory Capture Project and the memory booth, and then present a 3.5-minute digital story highlighting the life of George Takashima as narrated by his daughter Cheryl. So as a member of the Nikkei Memory Capture Project, led by Carly Adams of the University of Lethbridge and Dr. Darren Aoki of the University of Plymouth in the UK, I am always eager to talk about storytelling and the memory booth. For those of you who have not heard of it as yet, this soundproof booth located right outside the door is designed to encourage garden and Bunka Center visitors of all ages to both hear and share stories about the lives of Southern Alberta Japanese Canadians. Its interactive nature is designed to connect people in its various functions, to encourage the sharing of photos and the recording of memories and lived experiences. And most importantly for us tonight, to make available for viewing a growing collection of digital storytelling films, which really can be created by anybody who would like to tell their story. I hope you will enter the booth and explore the different options. And then if you like, fill out one of the cards available on the shelf in the booth and let us know your ideas and thoughts. We would truly love to hear from you. So we have 3 new stories in the works right now. Their authors are Janet Adachi and Peter Elkjar, Tad Mitsui and Miriam Mello, and David Tanaka, all of whom I'm really happy to see are in attendance tonight. Thank you for coming tonight. Each one of their stories will highlight an important aspect of Japanese Canadian social, cultural, or racial history, and we look forward to their completion and addition to the booth. For tonight, though, I am delighted to present the first public screening of a film reflecting the life of George Takashima. Pastor George, as he was more fondly known, was born in Vancouver in 1934. He and his family were interned in the New Denver Ghost Town internment camp during the Second World War, an experience that would strongly influence his identity, especially in the later part of his life. He was also a member of the clergy of various churches, one of which, the United Church, brought him to Lethbridge, where he and his wife Peggy would not only make a home, but where George would become an active member of the Japanese Canadian community, as you will hear about in the film. I had the privilege of interviewing Pastor George in 2017, and I consider that interview to be a highlight in my experience as a budding oral historian. Pastor George sadly passed away in 2020. The film I will play for you in a few moments is a collaborative creation between his daughter Cheryl and myself. But more central to the film is the collaboration that you will hear between Cheryl and George, a reunion through reflection and memory a collaboration of a daughter with her father. I especially want to highlight Cheryl's involvement in the production of this beautiful tribute to her father. These are her words, her sentiments, and her memories. Up until last night, Cheryl was to be here. However, an unexpected family tragedy prevents her from being in attendance with us tonight. It really was a privilege for me to work with Cheryl, and because I had the honor of meeting George, I feel a personal connection to this story. I really thank her for allowing me to be part of her and to create this story.
Combing through photographs, personal notes, and objects, I discover a depth to my father I never knew. I knew a humble and reserved man who spoke little about his history or his achievements. Since his passing, I've discovered there were many layers to his life I did not know. I now know a man who, as an only child, spent 4 years with his parents in a government-enforced Japanese internment camp in British Columbia. He was a child who found both friends and adventures within the confines of the mountains that were his prison. I know now that he was at times rebellious when he just wanted to be like other teens who were socializing and having fun. I now know a man who, as a teenager, was told by his father not to hang around with Japanese friends, but instead to study hard, to assimilate, to forget his Japaneseness. I now know my father's life was not always easy. My father was a man who believed in God and who taught me to embrace and accept human diversity, and he showed this by continually giving back to his community. He was a husband of 56 years who defied his father's request that he find a Japanese wife and who instead fell in love with and married my mother, a Caucasian woman. I have learned that his world changed at age 59 when they moved to Lethbridge and he became the pastor of the Japanese United Church. He wrote, "For 40 years I completely shut out of my psyche my Japaneseness. It was only in the fall of 1993 when I moved to Lethbridge that I started to take an interest in my roots, in my being of Japanese background." He was welcomed into southern Alberta's distinctive Japanese Canadian presence. He organized and led ghost town bus tours to internment camps in BC to teach others about what happened to Japanese Canadians during and after the war. His involvement with the Nikkei Cultural Society and the Nikka Yuko Japanese Gardens helped him fully embrace who he was and where he came from. As a father, a grandfather, and a great-grandfather, he lived his final years proud of his Japanese heritage. He was a man who I now know wished he had taught his children more, a man who I wished would have told me more. As I go through his notes on Japanese history, his history, my history, I now know a complex and interesting man, one I wish I could have just one more visit with.
So it is stories like these about Japanese Canadians and the celebrations and challenges they faced as they settled in southern Alberta after the war that create meaning and that need to be told as integral parts to our multicultural society. We want these stories to be recorded, protected, and shared with future generations. Thank you.
And the story that Gideon told and what you told is fascinating and appreciated. you very much. I hope I get a chance to speak with you before the evening ends. Gideon, I think I found a new university lecturer that I want to take a course from. So with that, everyone, I want to thank you all for being here. I don't know if Michelle wants to say anything more. She always likes to get the last word. But thank you all.